Welcome to The Universe is Talking, Episode 4. I am your host, King.
And I'm your host, Aja.
Today's episode, we will be discussing bad dating habits.
Okay. So I'm going to get us started. And at first, I thought I was not going to have anything to say. It's been nearly 20 years since I was single and dating. So I do still date my husband, but it's been a long time since I had to go through all the trials and tribulations that many single women are going through right now dating men. So I really had to think about what were some bad habits that existed back then and how does that compare to right now. And what I really like about our podcast, King, is that we have not just the male and female perspective, but the perspective of single and married or seriously involved people. So I really like that. But let me start with this, and this is something that didn't really exist 20 years ago, but it exists right now, and I've been impacted by it. And that is women, mostly women that I can see, but possibly men as well, going through the social media accounts of the people that they're dating. So being a creative, and I live a creative life, those that listen to the podcast may not know who I am or what I do Monday through Friday and sometimes on the weekend, but I am a full-time writer and I live a very creative life. There's a lot of creative energy that goes into it. And a lot of times I connect with other creative people who are not always women. Sometimes they're men. Sometimes they're married and involved, or sometimes they're single and dating, or single and I have no idea what they're doing with their time. But point is, many of them are in relationships with women, and here they are also creating with me. As a result, I've been impacted by the curiosities of these women, wondering what he's up to, and not just with me, but I think that I just become a victim of it. And one of the things that has been prevalent throughout my years of living this creative life where I connect with men and women, but we're talking about my relationships with men, are that these women sometimes will go through his social media contacts and out of their curiosity and do things like follow me, probably a number of other women as well, go through my posts, may even click like or love or something. And I have some thoughts on why that may be. Maybe it's to, show a presence that they're in his life. I have no idea. But I imagine that I'm not the only person that they're stalking. We're just going to call it stalking. And I think that's a really, really bad habit, something that I didn't have to deal with when I was single and dating, because there really wasn't a platform that was anything close to what we have now on social media. There was Black Planet. I think there was MySpace as well, both of which I wasn't really heavy on because those things kind of like came out of my college years. And to be honest, I was more active, like out in the world rather than sitting on the computer trying to build relationships. There were chat rooms and stuff. I remember there being chat rooms. But anyway, with social media being the way it is today, I think it's really easy for people to see what someone is up to. And when you're getting to know someone, maybe you're really curious about everything they're doing. But it's a really, in my opinion, it's a really bad habit to go rifling through their business and also rifling through the business of people that they are associated with. And I think it's crazy. So one of the things, and I've said to some of the guys that I've had associations with, I am blocking your women. I don't know what you got going on with them. I don't know what your relationship is, how deep, how strong. But if I see any of that type of activity, I'm blocking them. They don't have a right to me. And I'm a public figure, so it's really difficult for me. I have pages that are open and I have pages that are closed because I am a very private person, but there's a part of my life that has to be public. And one of the hardest things is that I know that I've got to be public to people who really don't deserve or aren't responsible with the information that they're seeing. I even had a guy tell me that his girl was asking him questions about me based on the stuff that she was seeing on my page. So, like, she wasn't, she has no relationship with me, okay? So if it wasn't for the relationship or communication that I had with him, I wouldn't even know that she existed. But because she was so intrigued, curious, and likely jealous or just crazy, she had the nerve to ask questions. And it's like, is it really that deep? Is this what we're really doing in 2019 and actually then 2018? We're checking social media accounts of people that are associated with the person that you're dating. He's not your husband. And even if he were, because I don't do that, like, I got to tell you, I don't know, I really have no idea who my husband is connected to on social media. We are friends. We do engage with each other from time to time, but we live together. So I really don't need to see everything he's doing. I mean, I have him. He's my husband. So I really don't need to know those minute details. But I can't imagine going through his friends list or checking out every time somebody comments on his pictures, checking out to see who she is, to see whether there's some sort of connection or something that I've got to be concerned with. Because if it's gotten to the point where I'm checking those things out, then there's a problem. Like, there's a bigger problem if I'm having this trust issue. So that's my number one. It is going through social media accounts and social media accounts of people that the person that you're dating is associated with. And I just kind of lump that under stalking.
All right. After listening to you go just now, this episode is going to become a blend of bad habits and our first episode topic, which was toxic relationships.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So going through social media accounts. I've had a lot of women that I've interacted with one way or the other go to my Twitter page, see what I'm tweeting, and feel like they need to discuss with me in person the tweets that they didn't like. Why am I tweeting these tweets? What did I mean by it? Who was I tweeting it for? Etc. 9 times out of 10, if you are the woman asking me these questions, the tweets weren't about you. The tweets weren't for you. And I don't care what you have to say or think about my tweets, because I'm going to keep tweeting the exact way I've been tweeting since I opened my Twitter page. I didn't begin my Twitter page with you in mind. I'm not going to tweet daily with you in mind either. You can stalk my page all you want. I leave it open for public access on purpose, because I want you to find whatever you think it is that you're looking for on my Twitter page. Granted, my Instagram account is a little bit different. I have that one private. But if you catch me on the right day and you request me with your phantom accounts, I will give you access for you to see whatever it is you're looking for. Because I think that is well known at this point exactly who I am and exactly what it is I do. I don't know what further confirmation you're looking for, but it's all right there. It's not going anywhere just by you bringing it up. So why are these women looking? They think that, well, throw that out the window. They think that they're going to change something.
Yeah.
And that thought is toxic. He's not going to change for you. She's not going to change for you. For the men that's stalking their women as well and going behind the scenes looking for whatever they're looking for. Whoever it is that you're seeing, that person is not going to change for you because people don't change. They are exactly who they are.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you accept that they are this way and decide for yourself, I'm going to deal with them or I'm not going to deal with them. It's too much for me. It's just enough for me, whatever the case may be. But to think that you complaining and you speaking about how it makes you feel will change something, you might as well stop because the show will not stop.
I agree.
All right, so let's now go into a different direction here and let's talk about, we go on our first date. However we got to this point, because I typically am not in a rush. I can wait for a very long time before I finally decide that I'm going to give you some time. So finally, we are out on this date. You're looking through the menu. You have no idea what you want to order. That's cool. I'm not really worried about that. Finally, you order, though. The food comes out. You're eating. And your ass is smacking at the table.
Oh.
I don't know who the fuck taught you to eat this way, but please do not do this shit when we are out together. Please don't do this when we are home alone eating. I don't want to hear all the damn smacking. I don't want to see the food that you're chewing. It's a turn off, and I'm going to decide right away. After we get done, wherever we are, I'm taking you home.
That's the last date.
This show is not going to continue. There will be no dick at the end of this night out. You can go back to wherever it is that I picked you up from, and you can go on about your night however you want to go on about your night. Don't sit at the table smacking your food, please. That is a horrible habit.
It is, but can I just, interject here?
Please do.
It starts way before the date. I mean, I know some people who smack when they eat. And I'm trying to, keep it anonymous, but this person I've known so long that I know that they've been doing it since they were a child. And I don't know whether they can change it now if they wanted to. I know that this person is accepting of their behavior. So I've actually witnessed people around them saying, stop smacking. And they're like, I'm just going to do it anyway. But they were an adult by the time that was happening. So I'm just thinking that at that point, you can't develop the new habit as much as you would like to. And I think that along that vein, not only smacking, but just chewing with your mouth open and talking like all at the same time.
Oh,
so if we're out together and you just chewing and talking, and I'm seeing the food, like it's just nasty. Now I get it. When you're single or you live alone or you eat alone, maybe some of these habits develop over time because nobody is checking you. But you've got to understand that when you're with someone, these things are horrible to listen to and horrible to see. And yeah, I have no more time for you if you can't do that, because that won't end. That person will always be smacking their food. And that means you're going to potentially be marrying someone who smacks when they eat. Can you imagine every mealtime listening to that and seeing it?
This is a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
And what happened to proper dining etiquette?
Out the window.
It's horrible.
It
It's
is.
horrible.
Like, I see people do lives where they're eating, and they lives or videos just in general where they're eating food and they let people see them eat, and they're talking to the people as they eat. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? I mean, where did we get these habits from? I have no idea. But yeah, just chew your food, concentrate on chewing, smile at each other every once in a while. Once you take that swallow, say a few words, sip your drink and get back to chewing. I mean, it's okay to eat and concentrate on eating. Sometimes just being together is all that you need. Sometimes that's what the date is for him to just observe you in your element without talking, and you're ruining it. And the same goes with him. I mean, I've been around men who have bad eating habits, and it's horrible.
Well, that's absolutely what the date is for. The date is for me to observe you and decide whether or not you're going to get this dick at the end of the night. I didn't really take you out because I was hungry. I mean, all I need is some fruit anyway. All I need is some vegetables, and I'm good. We are out because I'm trying to decide if you are really worth this dick, or if you're going to do something stupid that's going to make me take you back home and not even let you get a glance of this dick.
You and that dick.
I'm just saying. This is not charity dick. I'm in my 30s now. I don't have any more charity dick to give away. You got to earn all of this dick.
I hear you.
And sitting at a table in front of me smacking, that's not going to get you this dick. I can assure you it will not. I have nothing at all to lose by taking you back home.
I know you don't.
So, please.
We're not going to go into why you have nothing to lose. That's a different show. Okay.
Well, wait, pause. We could get into why because
no.
Wait. If I take you back home, that means I get to come home and play Madden and enjoy the rest of my night. That's exactly why.
Okay.
That's all. Okay.
I like that.
All right.
So earlier you mentioned you're not in a rush, and I love that you said that because it's like a segue into another bad habit. See, I'm like all on the serious tip here with some bad habits, but one of the bad habits that I've recognized, and it's actually connected to our first podcast with the toxic relationships, but one of the bad habits is moving too fast, just moving way too fast and expecting so much to happen in a short amount of time. And I say this is connected to the first podcast because a lot of times when women, and possibly men, but I speak from the perspective of women, ladies, so just know that I'm not trying to be hard on us. This is the life I live. A lot of us, because we have either felt like we wasted our time or we don't have enough time left or whatever it is, like every relationship that we get in is like, we need this thing. We need to see where it's going before it's even had a chance to like take off. So I have seen people move very fast, meaning just become too connected too fast. Start calling a lot more than they probably should, not allowing things to happen naturally, catching feelings really, really fast, like getting all in their emotions about it. They're in love right away. And, it's hard for me to say this on air, but it's the truth. I know that I write women's fiction and romance. So I know that I often write the story where people will fall in love kind of immediately, or they know that this is their mate or there's something special about them right away. But let's just say that in real life, even if you kind of feel that, you should know that that could just be pheromones or, it means that there may be a connection, but it doesn't necessarily mean this is your mate for life and that you've got to hurry up and fast forward so that you could get to the good part. The good part is everything leading up to everything. And trying to move it fast is a really bad habit and is a turnoff to the person that is really just trying to enjoy you and see what you're about. if you're trying to monopolize more of his time than he is ready to give. Because one of the things that I recognize with men is that it's an investment for you all when you get a new woman. It's an investment. I don't mean just with your time, but it's a money investment, because men have been taught, and women have been taught this as well, that dating is heavily a male responsibility, that he has got to pay for, dinner and movies and take you to certain events and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's a lot of money. I'm thinking of the dates that I've been taking on, and I imagine that was income that could have been used for some other things, but he had to decide, was I worth, taking him spending the money on a number of other things. So it's an investment for men. Not that it's not an investment for us. I'm just saying it's an investment for men, and we rushing this is not really giving him an opportunity to see whether he wants to make this type of long-term investment in us, or even this temporary but expensive investment in us. So I just think one of the bad habits is that we rush to move things so that we can see if this is going to work out, and it's a turnoff to the person that we're dating.
Speaking of rush, there used to be a song back in the day called "You Gotta Have Dick Control." Technology has totally taken away that theory. I saw a tweet today where a woman was saying that men these days are jumping out the window and sending dick pictures right away. Yeah. And she said, let me think about the dick. Let me imagine what it might be. The moment that you send me that picture, I can't imagine or think about it anymore, because now I know for sure. Mm-hmm. They're rushing. They're so eager to get this woman to want them, like them, suck them. You know where else I'm going with that. Mm-hmm. But they're so eager that they want to send the dick pic right away. Mm-hmm. My theory, if he's that eager to send his dick picture right away, then that dick must be worth pennies. There's no way that dick is worth any value at all if he's just giving away a picture of it that fast. Slow down. Talk a little shit. Get into her mind a little bit. Yeah, make her imagine what it might be like. The size of it, the texture of it, how she want to play with it, touch it, suck it, rub it on her face, all of that. Let her get into all of that in her mind. But the faster you go, the slower her mind goes. And when a woman's thoughts are going very slow, that means the possibilities of you actually seeing her, being with her, getting her alone are going to be even slower. Mm-hmm. The thrill of the unknown is what's going to excite her. Slow down. Yeah. Matter of fact, why are you so in a rush anyway? Why is she the only one you got in your Rolodex to talk to, possibly, potentially spend time with? You don't have anyone else, anybody's else's that you can be rotating around the clock to slow your ass down a little bit? It's 24 hours in a day. Let's split it in half. Let's say you take 12. You got 12 different people to choose to give some time to. We could even take the 12 in half and put it at 6. You got 6 different people to give some attention to. Are you in a rush for all 6 of those people, or is the fact that because you ain't really the playboy that you're trying to put yourself out there to be, you so excited over this first one that finally gave you a little bit of attention that you think the way to close this deal is to send a dick picture right away?
Can I just say, though?
Go ahead.
In all fairness, I spend a little bit of time on Twitter, and I know it's a lot of fun and games, but I also know that part of the fun and games are sexual in nature. There's a lot of sexual innuendos that go around on Twitter. Whether these women, and I'm not just saying men throwing this out, but women as well, will spend a lot of time tweeting about sex. And so here's my question. You tweet about sex all day. You tweet about dick. You tweet about your pussy all day. And then you're surprised when what pops up in your DM is dick. But that has been what you have presented, or at least said is of interest to you. So I think that it is on both sides and both responsibility to not present yourself or to give the impression that what you're interested in is moving fast. I'm not saying that that is the intention. It could be just to have fun. But the reality is that having fun, that playfulness sometimes is misread by those who just, as you said, have no control. And just like, you know, she's saying these things, there's a ton of men who talk about certain attributes that they have, and what they end up with are DMs with women who are showing their breasts and other assets to them. So it's a game that is being played, which brings me to my next point, if it's okay if I go to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the game playing. So, and I know I may be speaking to the wrong person about this, but I think that there is the dating game, but then there's a game that is played in dating that is ultimately a bad habit in the sense that you end up losing. So one of the games that I see being played is the hard to get game, where you know you really want this person, and this is on the side of men and women. You know you want this person and you want more with this person, but you pretend that you're out of reach, or that you're too busy, or that, you know, like you really don't want as much. So you're playing hard to get. And maybe that's an effective game for something. But I think that for women, and we're talking women here, the objective of dating is generally not to get penis. So you were saying you take people out with the intention on seeing whether they're worthy of receiving your dick. But across the table from you, what she's trying to assess is whether you're worthy of spending more time with, getting to know better. Can he potentially be the one? Could he be the father of my future children? Could he be a husband? I'm not saying all those thoughts are immediate in her mind, but trust and believe that is the progression of the thoughts that she's having. So why would you then waste your time playing like you don't want something that you definitely want? I think and I'm not saying rush, because I don't want to contradict my earlier advice about moving too fast, but don't pretend is my thing. Is the bad habit is pretending to want or not want things that are important to you. It makes it very hard to achieve your goals, whatever those are, or to have a real, authentic relationship with someone if you're not being honest in the experience that you're having. Essentially playing a game. And, you know, in any type of game, you can always lose. So there's that.
Speaking of this observation that she's doing, she should also be observing if he has a protective nature or not.
Mm-hmm.
If she's going to spend any type of time moving forward with him. And the way that she can observe this on this initial outing is he watching the door when they're out. Is he observing everybody that's coming in and out of the place? Is he sitting with his back towards the door, or is he sitting facing the door so he can have a view of everything that's happening? When you're in the street, how close is he to you? Is he having you walk on the inside of him, close to the danger, or on the outside of him, away from the danger? She should be observing all of these things, because those nonverbal cues will let her know how protective he is in nature, regardless of whatever it is that he may be saying out of his mouth. If he don't at least have the basics down, then whatever game he's feeding you out of his mouth isn't really worth much. Once you come to that conclusion, it's up to you how far you take things with him, but you need to have an understanding of how protective he is of you. Is his head on a swivel when the two of you are out? No, he's not looking for women that he might know. He's looking for the danger. He's keeping his eyes open in case something does begin to happen. He knows where it's coming from. He knows exactly where to get you to safety. So I think women should pay attention to those things as well. But let me now transition into another bad habit that I've come across.
Okay.
So again, these two people are newly into their thing, whatever that thing might be. Everything is new and fresh. And of course, being a man, he takes her out the first time around. He pays. That's what men do. And everything goes well, so they end up going out again. And he pays again because, it was such a good time last time. I want to see if we can have a good time again the second time. And sure enough, they have a good time again the second time. So now they're spending time together. He's paying. They eat, he pays. They go out to a movie. They go out bowling, he's paying. And they keep going out and he keeps paying. And all of a sudden, he starts to realize she hasn't even bought me a bag of chips.
Right.
She hasn't even gone to the corner store to get me an orange soda. And that's a bad habit that women make. They expect that the man is going to pay every single time. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of men out there that would love to pay every single time.
Right.
But there's also a lot of men out there that's not beat for the bullshit. They see the game that you're running. Yeah, they might take you out a few more times just to test the theory. But at some point, he's going to make up his mind. You're not worth all of this time, this money, this effort, this attention that I'm giving you. And you can go back to wherever you were before I met you, because I'm worth more than being the one that pays for your meal every time that we're together, or that's paying for the fun time every time we go out. There's a lot of women out there that's running that game. There's a lot of men out there that's falling victim to that game, whether willingly or unwillingly, and that's a bad habit.
I agree. I think that what it's about is it's greater than money. Although money is how it is presented, it's how it manifests. But sometimes women have this bad habit of looking at men as being a provider, a financial provider and security. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that my husband is not the provider, that he does not make sure that we're okay, and that I do not follow him in that, meaning that I don't have an expectation that he leads us. But I also bring to the table. I always have. When we came together, it wasn't like he got with some woman who had no financial opportunities, no financial weight to bring to the table, no business acumen, no, like always looking for him to handle things because I couldn't. I think that it is fair to say that we are where we are, and we've always been able to manage in this way because we both have the ability to take care of each other. If there's ever a time that he is falling short or would fall short, I know I can come in and pick him up. And it wouldn't be that he's weak. It would just be that it is the responsibility of us two to handle everything. So I think that there are a number of women who look at men and say, what are you going to do for me? You need to be able to take care of X, Y, Z. And, it starts with that dating. Like, I think that's the first sign of it, is that every time you go out, he's always the one that's pulling out his wallet, pulling out his money, and pulling out his card. Does that mean that she should start pulling out her wallet? No. But I think that what a good sign is that if she is at least talking to him about, like the last couple times you've taken me out, that's kind of expensive. I'm not saying you couldn't afford it, but why don't we do something this time that's not so expensive? Because it's really not my intent for you to be spending hundreds of dollars on me in a month. Or maybe she could just make a recommendation for something that doesn't cost anything. Or maybe she's the one that buys tickets and she doesn't say anything. Like she buys the tickets to something and then she's like, let's go. She just handled it. So it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't something that would, hurt his pride, because there are men who are very specific about how they take care of women. And a lot of that is how they are taught. So it may be harder for them to accept a woman that is taking care of things financially. But if you can do things like taking care of the tickets ahead of time and just saying, hey, I'm taking you somewhere, like present it as a gift, those are things that go a long way. Be someone who can also provide. Be someone who can take care of your own business. Be independent. I'm not saying that you don't need him, but let him know that you got to figure it out too. I just think that in a lot of cases, women, and I'm not saying just women, I'm just saying that in the case that we're talking about, women just don't always present themselves, and honestly, some of them don't have it together. So they're looking for a man that can take care of them. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and on both sides of it, are you a liability or are you an asset? Mm-hmm. And that's a question that has to be answered by the woman and the man. I mean, if the woman finds herself spending the money every single time that they're together, she has to start looking at him and wondering, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
When is he going to step up and do something? Mm-hmm. He can't at least put air in a tire.
Right.
He can't do nothing for me at all, but every time I'm with him, I'm the one that's doing for him. Mm-hmm. You got to start looking at him funny. Men, same with women. Yeah, she might look amazing in that dress. The sex may be incredible, but every single time that you're together, you got to spend money on her one way or the other. What is this thing really about at that point?
I think that it's also important to note is in the dating phase or in any type of phase where you are not yet in a committed relationship. If you are at friend level or you are at dating level or boyfriend and girlfriend level, but you have not made a commitment for the future, that you are in a position where you need help from him all the time. I mean, this is not your life partner we're talking about. We're talking about he's a guy you're dating, a guy that you're seeing. Why are you asking him to help you with these things? Now, I'm not saying that no one will ever end up in a situation where they need the help of someone else. But what I'm saying is to have this expectation that a man and or a woman is taking care of you and you aren't life partners, I think is a bad habit. And people become very dependent, on people that they're having sex with. And all you are sex partners, and yet what I'm doing is I'm providing you with some sort of financial security. I think that's a bad habit. I think that one of the things that we are really talking about is not paying, one of the biggest bad habits is not paying attention to all the cues. So when you talk about I'm always paying for this and you're not paying attention to whether he's protective of you and him when you go out, whether or not he or she is going through your social media accounts and contacts, whether or not she or he is moving too fast, whether any of those things, is the bad habit really is not paying attention, not looking at what's happening in the very beginning and seeing it as a precursor for what will probably be the issue later on. Because trust and believe, the way that you start off is like, I don't know, it's a really strong indicator of what that relationship will look like. And not paying attention to those signs is a pretty bad habit.
Absolutely. And you know what? I didn't have this as a point for when we first began this call, but I'm going to close out my segment with this one right here.
Okay.
A bad habit is to not take exactly what he or she is doing at face value. Very beginning of this thing between you and him, her and you. And he doesn't want to spend much time on the phone with you. He don't want to spend much time texting you. And you want to spend so much more time doing all of the above. And he tells you, I just don't have time for that. I don't have time to talk to you on the phone all the time. I don't have time to text you. He just told you exactly what it is. He don't have time. Now, if you choose not to believe that and think you're going to get more time when he's already told you that he don't have time for whatever the reason might be, it's something wrong with you. They already told you that they don't have the time. Whether they don't have that time because they're not interested in having that time, whether they don't have that time because they honestly don't have that time because they're doing so much, regardless of whatever the reason might be, they've already told you what it is. Why are you finding it so hard to believe that this person doesn't want to be up your ass 24/7? They don't want to suck on your titties all throughout the day. They don't want you on their dick all day long. No. Let me breathe. You, go breathe. Go be in some other nigga's face. I'll get to you when I feel like getting to you. If I feel like getting to you. It might take a whole month before I feel like coming back around and it's your turn again. In the meantime, find something else to do, though. But don't keep bugging me about why. I already told you, I don't have the time. And yeah, it could also mean that I'm just not interested in. But yet and still, I already told you I don't have it. You're not going to force me to have what I don't have.
I don't even think that you need a person to tell you those things. I think it's all in behavior. So even if he never utters the words, I don't have time, I've been busy, the mere fact that he has not made any type of move to include you in his life consistently is a sign that he does not want you in his life consistently. Because let's just face it, there's a number of people that are very, very busy and are married or are in relationships that have, gone through the test of time. They spend, a lot of time or enough time with each other to maintain a relationship because they want it. And when you want something, you make the time for it, or you make a quality time with each other that supersedes everything else. So it doesn't matter that you're busy doing a number of things. It's that time that you have spent is so special that you know this person is really in love with you and wants you in their life. So I think that it goes without saying that if this person, man or woman, is not making time for you and making it consistently enough for you to feel like it's a relationship, then you don't have a relationship. And whether or not he can come back around to you a month later because, you're his flavor this month and, and so that's why he's calling you. Is that what you really want? Is to be someone that is part of the rotation, or do you want to be the woman that he chooses to talk to and spend his time with on a consistent basis? And if that's not happening for you, then it's a really bad habit of yours to wait around for him to figure that out and to include you in his day. Very bad habit. And I just hope that after listening to this conversation that we've been having, that the listeners, take something away and make some sort of adjustments to their life if dating hasn't been working out well for them. So that's all I got to say.
You know what? Let's do one more. Okay? Women, if you are married and for whatever reason you are out with a guy that is not your husband, it is a very bad habit of yours to think that that man that you are out with wants to hear about how bad your marriage is, how bad your husband is treating you, what he is not doing. It is a very bad habit, because all the time that you're talking about the husband and what he isn't doing, that man is sitting and thinking, well, what the fuck are you not doing? You can't possibly be this great woman that you're presenting to me if you're in my face right now, knowing that you're a married woman with a husband that's waiting for you.
I don't disagree. I've always said, and we had this conversation in our group where I've said that some of the best extramarital relationships, not that I am, someone who is promoting this. What I'm saying, though, is if you are a married person and you are slipping out of your marriage, it is always better when you're happy, because there's no expectations on this other person to make you happy. You're happy. You're happy with your marriage. You're happy with yourself. It just so happens that you also want something extra. And that makes you a better lover for whoever this other person is that you're spending some extra time with. I'm not saying that this is what people should be doing when they're married. I am just saying that if you are married and you happen to want someone else, that it is a better situation for the person that you are involved with if you were actually happy in your own marriage. Because trust and believe, he does not want you to leave your marriage to be with him. He does not want to be your husband. He does not want to be your man. He likes married women because there is no fuss. There should be no fuss. It should be fun and it should be over. That is why he came to you. So, coming to him with your problems and laying it all on the line and asking him to give advice, and then, starting to see him as the person that you could start to have a future with, very big mistake. Very big mistake. This is not a hookup. This is just sex. Like, that's what he came here for. And, don't do that. Don't do that. That's heartbreak. It really is, isn't it? It has to be, to have that expectation that he's going to come in and be the husband. Because, as you said, it takes two people in a marriage. I have said this a number of times. One of the things that really bothers me is when you have someone who is like, he ain't shit, he's not doing blah, 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 because you've seen one side of the story. But who is he married to? Now, I'm not saying that it meant he should have been creeping out on his wife, but I'm saying, do you know what kind of wife she is? Or vice versa, do you know what kind of husband he's been? You don't know. There is, when it comes to a marriage, no one knows what's going on in that marriage but the two people involved in it. Those are the only two people that know exactly what goes down in that relationship. No one else can know. So if I'm sitting here airing my grievances to somebody else, they only hear one side of the story. They don't hear my husband's side. Nobody gets to hear what my faults are, because I'm less likely to speak on them. I'm only going to speak on the negatives about him, which is why it's unfair to talk about your marriage, because it's unfair. No one gets to hear the other side. You are not perfect. There is no perfection in a person. There are just two people. I was talking to someone recently. Actually, I think it was you. And I said that the secret to our marriage is that we're in it together and we just keep moving forward together. It's just a choice. The choice is just that we move forward together, that we are making these decisions in life together. There's no other, there's no magic. There's no prescription for it. It is a choice. It's a decision that we're making every single day, just that we want to be together and we want to do this together. So for anybody to say that, you got to be having sex with your husband so many times and twirling around on his dick and blah, 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 none of that stuff works. Both of you have got to always be making the decision to be together and move together as one. If you don't do that, then there is no one. And you'll end up being one of those women or men having a conversation with someone else about how horrible the other is. It is really unfair. Sorry, you got me fired up.
All right, so I think that's great for the closeout right there.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening in on episode 4 of The Universe is Talking. We hope that you've enjoyed our show. Please leave a comment below and subscribe to our channel to be notified of new episodes every week.